Chris Mannix reporting talks have continued between reps for Andy Ruiz and Dillian Whyte. Industry sources told Sports Illustrated Whyte's promoter Eddie Hearn has been aggressive in trying to make a U.S.-based fight between Whyte and Ruiz. Guys, thoughts on this? I'm gonna go to Gary first here, since you're a DAZN subscriber. Thoughts on a possible DAZN U.S. main event with Dillian Whyte and Andy Ruiz. Thoughts on that as a paying consumer of DAZN?
I love the main event. I love the fight. It's a fun fight. It's a good fight. It's a 50-50-ish kind of fight where I couldn't see either guy winning. I would lean towards Ruiz, though. It makes no sense to put it in the U.S., though. It just makes so much more sense in the U.K. Ruiz has credibility in the U.K. because he knocked out Anthony Joshua. And, like, the U.S. fan base doesn't care about Dillian Whyte. I know Dillian Whyte's a fun fighter. He's got tremendous Deontay Wilder type knockouts. Like, he's fun, which is what makes the fight so great. But, like, American fan base doesn't care about Dillian Whyte. Like, it makes no sense. I love the fight. I just think you're putting it in the wrong country.
Rob,
do Mexican Americans care about Ruiz more than UK fans care about Dillian Whyte? Is there more?
No, that wouldn't be the comparison. It would be, I think the comparison would be more so: do UK fans care more about Andy Ruiz than US fans care about Dillian Whyte?
No, I'm just saying the reason it would be in the States is if there's going to be a big following for Mexican Americans or whatever, or Mexicans tuning in to see Andy Ruiz, right?
It's a weird thing because if you're DAZN, you don't have any long-term access to Andy Ruiz, right? So maybe you're hoping that you get him for another fight to continue those subscribers, right? That obviously came on for the AJ fights. But is it the right investment for DAZN for a Dillian Whyte fight next? I don't know. And I also don't know if it's necessarily the best fight for either guy right now.
I think it's the best fight for Whyte. I really, if providing he wins, sure, I get it. But this is like this whole WC mandatory spot that he's been fucking clinging on to and waiting his shot. You're going to risk it against the Al Heyman guy?
No, that's true.
A Ruiz Wilder fight. If he loses it, then Ruiz is the mandatory.
It's almost like Eddie is doing everything in his power not to have to get him a title shot. It's like, it's like, oh, don't beat King Kong Ortiz. Who can we get next? Who might be able to beat this guy? I don't have to give him a title shot. It seems like that, doesn't it? Like, why Ruiz? Why now?
Well, he got Marius Wackin to do that job. Now he's trying to do it to Parker.
And to that point, I mean, if you're Eddie, and to the point that I made earlier about like, I'm done with in-house fights, right? I'm done with in-house fights unless they're possibly the best fights that are available. Whyte Usyk is possibly a better fight, makes far more sense for the division in terms of momentum right now for all involved. Why not make that fight? And then if Whyte wins, he's a WBO mandatory. If Usyk wins, he beat Dillian Whyte. Make that fight in the UK. UK pay-per-view. Usyk has some cachet. He did great numbers with Tony Bellew. I would assume he does also great numbers with Dillian Whyte as well. And Dillian Whyte's a much bigger star than Tony Bellew, right? And Andy Ruiz kind of probably needs a tune-up fight. He's coming off a loss. And God knows if he's going to be switching trainers, lifestyle changes, whatever. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for who is moving in which direction for the division. I often like winners versus winners and losers versus losers. I often like that mentality. If you just lost, go fight another guy that just lost. Go fight like a Brian Jennings, who I feel like has been losing all of his fights lately, if you're Andy Ruiz. Don't go fight another guy that's on a huge win streak. Because that guy that's on a win streak should go fight another guy that's on a win streak. And then put his on the line against another guy's. That's how I've always viewed matchmaking, how it should be done. So that's what I would prefer. I know it's not happening, but interesting that they're pushing for it. And also interesting that, and maybe, I think it was either you, Rob, or Gary, I forget which one stated this. I think it was you, Rob, the idea that if you're doing Whyte, why would you risk your mandatory spot, air quote, against a PBC fighter? I was thinking more from when I first saw this news, why would Andy Ruiz negotiate for this fight coming off a loss? Sort of the logic that I stated. But Rob, you said something that sort of maybe changed my tune a little bit. If you're Andy Ruiz, maybe this is the good fight for you because it instantly gets you back in the title contention. You instantly become a mandatory to a belt. And if you're Heyman and you're playing 3D chess, you take a mandatory spot away from Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn. And that's a huge thing to get off the sort of chessboard.
Yeah. I mean, you basically get the whole undisputed fight without it being for undisputed. It's still Ruiz where he should have been had he won the rematch for Joshua. It's just, I guess, boutless. Although hopefully he wears a belt because his shorts nearly come down every time.
Going into this show, I was kind of, I really not necessarily didn't believe this news story, but I didn't think it was actually going to come to any fruition. But Rob, you made good points. I think Gary made some good points. And this fight could happen. It could not happen. There's still a lot on the table for why this could be and could not be made.
I felt when the offer went in originally, we heard, we've sent an offer to Ruiz, and everyone went, well, Ruiz, that was out of the blue. But to hear now that Andy has responded, he looked at his DM, said, "Oh, Eddie, I want a little bit more." And Eddie went, "All right, what about this?" And now it's sort of like interest. They're actually talking. It's like this seems to be actually something in this, whereas before I just felt it was Dillian Whyte's fighting Povetkin, but we'll put it out there. Andy's not even training. No. He's going to say no. But the fact that they've readdressed the value of the fight or how much Ruiz is going to get, and now there seems to be camps talking. Yeah, so maybe there's something to it.
We're just going to get Povetkin, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Moving on, unless anything else or anyone else has anything else to say.